So something else I want to talk about with questioning. Something I saw several years ago, I'm going to give credit to David Webb from the University of Colorado. There's an assessment pyramid I've tweaked a little bit. So we're going to look at a pyramid, and I want you to think about questioning from all the questions that you ask in your class. The questions you ask to your students out loud in lecture, the questions that you ask maybe on a quiz, the questions on a test, they could be the essay questions, they could be the paper that you assign. Anything that you kind of assess throughout your class, I'm going to wonder if it could fit in this assessment pyramid. Now, I'm not going to suggest that this pyramid is perfect, but I am going to wonder if it could be a vehicle for us to rethink our questioning, okay? So let's examine it for just a second. We have 3 dimensions. We've got concepts and skills, that's one dimension. I know in math we have concepts and skills. English, folks, do we have concepts and skills? Okay, excellent. So those are a little different, and we might handle them a little differently. We also have a different axis that are easy to difficult. Well, that's easy. We have easy questions, we have difficult questions. Sometimes when I talk to teachers about the other dimension, low-level reasoning to high-level reasoning, teachers will say, oh, Pam, don't worry, I ask really hard questions. And I'll say, I believe you. But do you ask higher level reasoning questions? So I want to use this to parse out what's the difference between a low level hard question and a higher level reasoning question. And notice that the pyramid sort of caves in on itself, right? It's not a rectangular prism. It's a pyramid. That has some implications. That there's sort of fewer. Now I will tell you, this represents the number of items, the number of questions. It doesn't represent the time spent. So let's parse that out just a little bit. If I ask a higher level reasoning question, how long does that take to ask and answer? Everybody say long. Okay, thank you for the 3 of you that. If I ask a low level reasoning question, that could usually be answered fairly quickly, maybe unless it's one of the difficult low level. Let me, I just realized I hadn't really described the levels for first, so let's start first. So I'm talking about a low level. I might be talking about reproduction, procedure, concepts, definition. I kind of think about it like regurgitation. It's more of that stuff where I just spit it back. It's often a bunch of social stuff. More. I can say it this way. The social stuff all belongs down there. There's other things besides social down there, but social doesn't belong up here. Anytime we get up to something more middle, where we've got connections and integration for problem solving, where we're trying to make connections between things, we already have to have the social, or we ignore the social. That's one of those moments where you're like, metaphor, simile, I don't care, it's figurative language, right? You know you're dealing with figurative language, and that's maybe enough, because I'm middle level, I'm really making connections between things. And what would it be high level? So it's sort of where I'm creating. I think that deals really well with both of our subject areas, where I'm actually writing. I think I can talk a little bit about writing, because I have written a few books. I can talk a little bit. I feel a little, funny talking to English. I'll tell you right now, a little, because I recognize fully that I'm not you. I have more jokes for math teachers. I need to learn some English teacher jokes to teach me some. Anyway, okay. So when we create, we're at that high level when we're generalizing. Anytime we really abstract things, when we find insight into things, and then if I'm going to be math, we call it mathematizing. What do you call that in English? Writing? I don't know. Really writing? Not. Yeah, the analysis and synthesis to me almost are a little below creation. Maybe? When I have to write about it. When I have to write about my analysis, okay, then maybe now I'm in the creation part. I'll give you that. I'm synthesizing, I'm writing about that, the analysis. Yes, then I'm creating. Cool. So with that in mind, a way to sort of keep parsing this out is I'm going to give you a few examples. Now I'm going to do math first. English, do not turn off. We're going to do English in just a second, but give me just a little bit to do a few examples. So if I were to ask you, factor that sucker, where would that belong on the assessment pyramid? Is it a skill? I just heard someone say skill. So it's kind of a skill, yeah? Low level, right? Easy or hard? Easy. Now the English people just went hard. No, I'm just kidding. No, this one's not. So can everybody agree that this one's a pretty easy skill, low level, yeah? Now what happened when I did this? Well, let me tell you, Pam, I ask hard questions. And I'm like, yeah, but did you ask a higher level question or did it just get hard? Is it still pretty skillish? Yes, but I would suggest it's just more difficult. It's not really much higher level. You could have some arguments with me about numbers of factors, but maybe it goes up a little, but really, we're still hanging pretty low level, yeah? But what if I were to say a soccer goalie kicks the ball from the ground, it lands after 2 seconds, reaching maximum height of 4.9 meters. Does everybody feel like Sheldon right now? MA equals MG, so 9.8 meters per second squared per square. Write the function that models the relationship, and then maybe we can ask some questions about that. Where did we just go on the assessment pyramid? Yeah? We just went up the assessment, and here's one way I can know that. So sometimes I like to give workshops for high school teachers. Well, I'll ask this exact question, and then I'll watch. Because an Algebra 1 teacher can answer that question with Algebra 1 knowledge. But a physics teacher can answer that question using physics. And a calculus teacher can answer that question using calculus. And a pre-cal teacher can answer that question using just function analysis. So there's lots of different ways that I can enter that question. I can enter it from lots of different levels. And to me, that's an indication that I'm up the level. I'm up the pyramid. Because notice that as the pyramid closes in on itself up here, notice how the lines get more, like down here, I'm sort of concept skill. But as I go up here, everything gets more fuzzy. Like, is this a concept or a skill question? Yeah, I kind of need both. I need some skill, I need a lot of concept, and depending on what I know, I could bring that to bear. To me, that's an indication that I've gone up the pyramid. I'm using higher level reasoning. Notice also that the pyramid doesn't just collapse on concept and skill, but also on easy to hard. Is that an easy question? It kind of depends on what you know. Is it a hard question? It kind of depends on what you know. Depending on what you know, it might be really easy, it might be really hard. That again is an indication that we've gotten something sort of higher up the landscape of learning. How about the last one? Match root 0, x-intercept with their definitions. Did we just plummet back down? That's my attempt at getting a concept easy question. It's about concepts, but it's easy, right? Sometimes that's the harder one for math people to come up with. What's an easy concept question? Okay, there's one, an easy concept question.